Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Jim Duffy, the head football coach at Carleton Airport. How's it going?
It's going well. Thank you for having me.
All right. So I know that last week was not what you wanted, but overall, pretty good year for you guys. Good 3 games to start the year.
Yeah, I've always prided myself in non-league competition. Not only people that can have competitive games with, but that have kind of a local flavor to it. We went Gibraltar Carlson. Our school districts kind of butt up to one another. They're a little bit larger than we are. They play in the Downriver League, which is the league just north of us, and they're the defending champions of that league as well. So it was going to be a tough task. Originally going on the road to Carlson to open up. Obviously, with the new playoff system, it kind of made sense as well to try and find some teams that maybe were a little bit larger than you were. Maybe we're going to win some games. I really like the atmosphere of local teams that don't get to play each other very often.
Yeah.
Opening the year that way. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the guys that before we get into previewing the rest of the year. Let's talk about some of the guys that that people would know, and some of the guys that are playing well, returning, and yeah.
Well, we're pretty senior heavy at some skill position spots right now.
Yeah.
Cooper Nye is our starting quarterback and has been for the last 4 years. He took his first snap for me when he was 14 years old, and has played quarterback every meaningful down from that point until now. He's 6'4", 225. He's a very well-built athlete, and he's got some different schools looking at him right now with some different potential positions as well. So, I mean, he obviously throws a really nice ball and does a great job leading our offense, but he plays outside linebacker for us, and his body type would allow him probably to play some other spots that schools are interested in as well. So he's the first one, and then another one is Jack Mills, who is our starting feature back, I guess, and he's a guy that their freshman year was the COVID year. So a couple of games into that season without fans in the stands, it was not very comfortable bringing freshmen up, but I ended up bringing 3 additional ones a couple weeks after I brought Cooper. Cooper was up from the beginning of the season. I brought 3 others up in week 3. Jack was one of those guys. He is, and I've said this in a couple of interviews this year as far as with the newspaper, he's the most complete football player that I've coached. He rushed for, I think, 12 or 1,300 yards last year. Also, his receiving yards were 400 or 500, had 20 total touchdowns, and he's our best defensive player. So he runs the ball very well. He runs through contact. He catches the ball well out of the backfield. And defensively has been a 4-year guy at strong safety, and he's got a nose for football.
Yeah.
Really, really, really good high school football player.
Yeah. Who are some other guys that are really kind of standing out and playing well?
Nolan Zajac is another senior for us. He's another one of those guys that's been with me for 4 years. He's kind of like a Swiss Army knife. We use him in a lot of ways. I kind of joke with him and tell him when coaches have ideas, whether it be offensively or defensively, and we're trying to find somebody to fit that position, it normally just gets thrown out that Nolan can do it. Just put Nolan there. He plays tight end for us. He's a great receiving tight end. He does a good job, with blocking skills as well. He's an outside linebacker. He can also play other offensive positions, skill positions, whether it's a receiver. He's a backup quarterback for us if necessary. He kicks extra points and field goals for us, kicks off, and punts. So we lean on Nolan a lot throughout the course of the year. So he does a really nice job. He's very intricate to what we do on both sides of the ball.
Absolutely. Okay, so going into, I know it was a tough loss last week against a really good Flat Rock team. Um, Going into this week, I know you got Monroe St Mary Catholic Central coming up, but what do you feel like you guys have to do this week? Just kind of preview the rest of the schedule, what you have, and really what you really need to do in these next few weeks coming off a loss against Flat Rock.
So we looked at the front end of our schedule was going to be what we assumed, on paper was going to be a really tough stretch. Four games, 3 out of 4 on the road, and we were playing defending league champions in the first 2 weeks, both Carleton, the Downriver League champion, and then Riverview, who has been the Huron League champion for they hadn't lost a league game since 2019. We played them in week 2. On the road at Flat Rock and on the road at Catholic Central, which are Catholic Central is just a tough place to play. Always has been, always will be. So we looked at those first 4 games and we said if we were able to come out of that and feel good about ourselves, that we could have a pretty good season and we could set ourselves up to potentially get to the postseason and maybe even host something once we get there. Kids were very aware of that. Obviously, they were pretty beat up after the other night as far as emotionally, after having a couple of big wins and going on the road and playing in a tough game and not coming out on the right side of it. We talked a lot this weekend and then yesterday about the fact that, and I kind of put it to them this way. I said, right now, I go Carleton and Riverview, teams that we played the first 2 weeks are both 2-1 as we see it. I go, do you think that their 2-1 feels different than our 2-1 because they lost to us and then Carleton went on to beat some other football teams? I go, or do you think that everybody's kind of in the same spot grinding right now and this is kind of where we separate? And they agreed with that, and we said that we kind of break the season into 3 parts. You have your 3, 3, and 3, and the next 3 games for us are going to determine where we're sitting when postseason stuff comes, where we can really get on a roll and start running right now and feel good about where we're at and kind of set ourselves up for potentially some better postseason matchups. Or, if we don't play to our potential, anybody on our schedule can beat us. We say that pretty often is if we play well, we're going to be in good shape. And if we don't play well, we're in trouble. So most high school coaches, I think, would agree with that on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. But especially for us, we have Catholic Central this week, who is in their division, perennial powerhouse in the state of Michigan. Won a couple of state championships here in the last decade. And if you go there, no matter what their record is or what their team looks like at that time, if you go there and you're not ready to play, you are not setting yourself up for success. Yeah. So they've done a really good job not pressing as far as from what happened Friday. We talk all the time about you can't lose 2 games on one Friday. If you do, then we didn't do our job getting people ready to go.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, Jim, thanks so much for spending a few minutes with us, and best of luck this weekend. We'll have you on sometime later on in the year.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.